fucking nigger, Alex, is doing this shit.
Get the fuck out my feed, you handicap retard. My kid is set for life. She has enough money to be happy for the rest of her life. I will gladly sit in jail knowing that you cannot breathe, you cannot speak, you cannot talk, you cannot spew any of this shit ever again. I will literally kill this motherfucker.
You fucking nigger.
Can't wait to report your death. Why I'm still getting hate.
I'm fucking late. I run this world. They're blocking my slave. I know we got the name Cracker. Which means Cracker whips Cracker the fuck out of you. Those days are 100% still alive.
I think it's funny. I've been laughing the last hour that your mom died of cancer. I don't give a fuck about any of you. I am in this for your money and your money only. That's all I care about. Alright? I only do the show for money. That's it. Alright? I don't do it to entertain people. That's just a fucking scam. I don't give a fuck about any of you. I really hope you die of cancer. I hate every single one of you. Fuck the fans.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Darkness, and I am DarknessStone. And I'm covering another big YouTuber who I'm personally done with. This has a bit to do with the Just Destiny situation, but there is more to do with it because of the genome I am talking about today. I'm going to ask you to watch the video from Nicholas D. Oreo because I don't want to steal the audio from his video. This has a lot to do with this video, and it belongs to him. So watch that video and come back here. I'll leave it in the description for you to click on. Now let's talk about Keem, or Daniel from this point on, because I have no respect for him. I will also now address the child fanbase's arguments here. But Stone, he has improved since the incidents. But Stone, why are you covering him? You're just jealous. But Stone, he's a big channel and you're small, he won't listen to you. But Stone, you're being unfair to him. But Stone, no. Here's what's going on with that. He has not improved since his incidents because he's still causing all this shit show of trouble. And I'm covering him because I want to. I would not be jealous of Mr. Daniel. He's too pathetic to make me jealous of him. And he's a big channel and I'm small, he won't see this. Bullshit. Anytime someone calls him out, he sees it. Just like when he checked out Augie's stream when it was still small and less than 1,000 subscribers, he found it within minutes. And no, I'm not being unfair to him because this is like the 5th time he's caught something this bad. Now, for those of you who don't know or didn't watch the video I asked you to, Daniel is a content creator from a channel called Drama Alert, which he should not even be able to access because of YouTube's terms of service after having 5 terminated YouTube accounts. And he is known in the YouTube community for his explosive personality that rivals vegan gains in its absurdness, and with a constant controversy that's surrounding his channel. He has called himself the News, even though what I see from him most often is either disgraceful action or him forcing stories. Here's some shitty things Daniel has done so you see what kind of character I'm talking about. He made a false pedo allegation against a 62-year-old streamer. He made fun of someone's sickness, saying, "I can't wait to report your death," calling someone the N-word multiple times while telling someone in chat to call him that, calling something known as joint subgrowth as the KeemStar effect, even though it's a normal thing when a big channel features a small one, and many other stupid shit because he has no idea what he's doing and doesn't know how to control himself. Lately, he's been going after Just Destiny, which is something I also did, but here's the thing. I wasn't calling him a pedophile. I was saying his thumbnails were suspect and scummy, but Daniel literally starts asking him if he's a pedo, which I honestly agree was somewhat funny, but also mad disrespectful. He has started trying to find JD's personal information. He's been teaming up with a well-known hacker named Zoom, which I'm pretty sure just by saying that, I'll become a target because Daniel can't stand anyone standing up to him without going off the rails. Where they have been getting into calls, please check out Oreo's video, with Zoom and others trying to find Destiny's identity, address, and so much more. To report on it on Drama Alert. He and Zoom have doxed Destiny, and by law, doxing with the intent to harass or releasing information to cause harassment can cause Daniel to get into legal trouble. There are so many red flags in Daniel's arguments, and so many contradictions people can't keep track. And he wanted to report on this so badly. He has put all that time into it, and he doesn't want it to be a waste. With him losing subscribers, he says he's going to go to war with Destiny, make him look like a complete idiot. He said he also had a lead that turned out to be completely false about a pedo in New York, which turned out to be in jail during all of this. His motivation for this, I believe, is to be a big fucking story and will make him seem like a big fucking deal, even though his channel and his reliability as a news source is going downhill. He also sent Destiny an IP tracker through Skype, and if he ever complains about leaking DMs or him getting doxed, I don't want to hear it. He has no right to call that out. To him, it's not about the pedo allegations. It's about bringing Destiny down to Daniel's level. It's about his credibility. If he has to smear someone's innocent name, so fucking be it. He doesn't care about the false strike anymore. He just cares about his vendetta against Destiny. Now I'm going to address Daniel, and I'm going to ask him something. And everyone in the comments can answer for this as well if you like. I'm sure he's watching this because he can't handle anything being said about him without crying like a little bitch. Now, Daniel, I want to ask you something about doxing. What would happen if someone did that to you? I know you probably don't care about yourself, but think about your daughter. If someone doxed you, that would put them in danger. And you're putting a target on your and their backs for someone to do it to you. You being a dad, I'm surprised you haven't thought this out. Let alone you having stated that you have enough money to set up Mia for life if you went to prison. But there's a problem with that. Would you honestly want to put your daughter through that? You should care about your daughter enough to stay out of prison and not take those kind of risks. You should want to stay out of prison and watch her grow and see how things change in her life. You shouldn't put that all on the line because of your temper and ego. Sure, you could say, I don't know what it's like to have a daughter and I don't know your family. But having a parent in prison can cause terrible problems with a child. If you dox Destiny and you released his info and then something bad happened to him and the perpetrator points out you as the source of Destiny's information, you get some serious legal trouble. And before you say it's public information, it wasn't before you tried to find his information trying to expose him and tried to slander his character. You and Zoom would have been responsible for getting that information out and causing damage if it is done. And you say you have ill intent for it by exposing him. You being put in prison for something just because you're desperate enough is not a good thing. Look, I'm no fan of Just Destiny, but you don't go on a fucking tirade on someone because you lost 3K subs and because you don't agree with something he did. This is for revenge because Daniel is starting to look like a fucking idiot. I do have some other words about Daniel, and the first person I agreed to kept anonymous out of respect. They stated that they don't hate Keem, they just find them so hyper-focused on their own cause that anything or anyone that might threaten that is viewed as an enemy of Daniel, and that it must be stopped at all cost. He says he does not think that this will bode well when it comes to situations where you need to be careful around. And he is no longer in contact with Daniel, and Daniel's no longer in contact with him because of these reasons. Here is a few people who were nice enough to let me do an interview with them. Here you go. So, I have Scully here that is in the live stream with Augie a lot of the time, and she has a lot of experience with Mr. Daniel. Say hi.
Hi. Thanks for asking me to be on this.
No problem. I wanted to ask you about your experiences with Mr. Daniel, because he is not the most, let's say, reliable person to talk to.
No, I've had I want to say like four experiences with him at this point, where I've spoken to him directly because of the live streams, and well, technically 5 if you include when he said I looked like I had 50 cats and lived alone.
Yeah, but the whole boxing thing, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, that was a joke. That's because he brought up our kids boxing, and I said, how about we do that instead? Because clearly I'm not going to subscribe to having my son get into a boxing ring at the age of 10 years old.
Well, that's just an asshole thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Putting his kid up to that. I'm pretty sure he only has one kid named Mia. Yeah. But trying to make your kids fight, making your kids fight for your own amusement is fucking awful.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. The first time I spoke with Keem was the same episode that was my first episode on Augie's channel, which was episode 8, which was the one about Matt's What It Is. And Keem yelled at us and said, "Hey, don't talk over me," and he came in like 20 times. Oh yeah, I was watching that one live. I was thinking about coming in there and asking you guys to make a new channel called the Bitch Baby Corner, and anytime he yelled, he got sent there. Yeah, but, Augie likes to be the whole proprietor of free speech, even though he doesn't really understand what that really means. And no offense to Augie or anything, but the fact is that Keem has used Augie's platform as literally like a bully fest. Like he went after Vexed and talked about Smile Time the second time, and that was like one of the few times that he came in and he was very calm. And then, there was the whole him talking in the chat and picking on both myself and Mystic, and neither of us took it very insultingly or anything like that. We were just like, oh, whatever, KeemStar is being KeemStar. Yeah. And then he came in and he was helping with the Susie Lou situation. We were like, hell yeah, KeemStar is finally going to do something, even though he's not reporting on this at all. And, he didn't really help out the guy at all. And literally we did more to help out Mark Skin the Dark than he did and everything like that. And then the last time, and probably maybe even the very last time he came on, was when he decided that he was going to admit to doxing Just Destiny. And as somebody who has spoken to Just Destiny, I had 2 days prior, like a day prior to Keem recording and 2 days prior to Keem's video, I had information that they didn't. So I now just recently went back to the audio that Nick posted, and I'm like, these guys are fucking idiots. They were always looking in the wrong place.
I get that. Like, see, when I was watching the video that Oreo put up, which inspired me to do my own video, but I saw how they were trying to dox him and like put him through. They were putting in like names they found through like sexual assault registries, and I just thought, look, I went against Just Destiny, but that was just because of the thumbnails. I hold no ill will against the guy, but that kind of shit is pretty much unacceptable.
No, I totally agree. I don't think, as somebody who's been doxxed and who's been harassed once personal information's gotten out, I don't respect anybody who thinks that's okay to do. The moment it becomes a dox, and rather than gathering information, is the moment you either hand it off to someone else who doesn't need it, which he did, or you post it publicly, which he didn't do, but still.
He said he was going to do it through Drama Alert, but that is just...
That makes it even worse. Because then he's literally going to be sending, like, 4 million people after this guy.
Yeah, and see, like, I've never gotten to talk to Just Destiny. And I feel like he would be, like... He did talk in Oreo's video, but he didn't really get much to say. I feel like if he had a chance, he'd be pretty much going all off on Keemstar about this whole situation.
Oh, no, he's making his own video on the situation.
Oh, he is?
So, yeah. So, once that comes out, you'll be able to have his side of the story as well.
I'll make sure once that comes out to post in the description of my video.
Yeah, no, the situation, it's a very fucking interesting situation, to be perfectly honest. Like, it made me go, hey, I had no real respect for Keemstar before, like, even as a viewer, before I started doing YouTube again. I just thought of him as a drama channel who pretty much would find the biggest dicks and suck them. So
he needs all that mad commentary juices.
I mean, he's not even really going after commentary anymore. He's going after the vloggers and the Jake Pauls and the Logan Pauls and, you know, the FaZe clan and stuff like that. That's what he talks about now. Maybe he should stick in that wheelhouse and let somebody else do the actual news because he's fucking garbage at it. Again, he's not an investigator. He's not a journalist. He doesn't practice ethics.
He says that he's the news, but the problem is that he says he doesn't show his opinion on the channel, which is a complete falsehood.
Oh yeah, totally.
And, like, with his own personality going through with the Drama Alert Twitter, and let alone messing with you, but messing with other people entirely, it's not professional in the slightest. Like, I won't claim my videos are professional. They're just handmade stuff. I'm allowed to say what I want because I don't dictate myself as a news channel.
Exactly. Like, I don't dictate myself as anything. All I do is have conversations with people and then I post them on the internet. With full permission, as I start each video already recording with the intro so people know, so the person who I'm in the call with already knows and hears the fact that it is recorded, it is being put up to YouTube. So it can never be misused. It can never be said that I didn't warn them.
Well, that's a good way of doing it, and I don't really think Keem would really do that, but I don't have any proof against that.
Well, again, Keem has admitted to use Skype resolvers, which means...
Oh yeah, they'll track the IP.
Yeah.
I forgot about that for a sec. Oh god. It just shows the amount of ill intent he has towards the whole situation.
Well, it also teaches you, don't use Skype.
And don't talk to Keemstar. That's one of the points in the video, just... Don't get in contact with him. He said on you guys' stream. He said on you guys' stream that he's afraid people will stop talking to him. And I'm just like, you should be afraid of that. It's your own problem that you're causing.
No, I definitely agree. And, you know, he probably should think before he speaks a lot more, but he doesn't, and that's his fault.
I do appreciate you coming and talking with me about the situation.
I mean, I have no problem talking about it. Like I said, this is something similar to what I do on my channel, so... except for you actually have questions.
Well, that's just because I want to make sure I cover a lot of bases, because I don't want anything to really be left out, and to make sure things get done correctly. Alright, and now I'm here with Bowblax, or I would like to call Josh, because it's easier to say.
Yeah.
But I just finished my interview with Scully, and now I'm here with him. We're here to talk about what your experiences with Daniel is, and to make sure the people who are listening to the video as well as you, I'm calling Keem Daniel because I have no respect for him through his platform.
Okay, well, that's definitely not how I see him, but I still have respect for him, oddly enough. Most
Really?
people would say that's kind of crazy, but...
I would just like to ask your experiences with Mr. Daniel.
Well, the thing about Keem is that I've been, like, watching him for a long time, basically since 2015, and I've been watching a lot of what he does, not just in Drama Alert, but also, like, his live streams and how he acts on Twitter primarily are the two places where I've seen him act and interact with people. So I think I have a pretty good grasp of how he is, and I had a pretty good grasp of who he was as a person in terms of like how he reacts to stuff online. When I first got in contact with him was actually when I made a video about a year ago when I had like almost no audience, talking about how KeemStar kind of fucked up in the Aiden project situation. And he found that video early. It had his name in the title. It had about only 200 views at the time. Now it has like a couple thousand, so it was pretty early in the video's life cycle. And he randomly DM'd me on Twitter saying that I was retarded, but I also had some good points, which is probably the biggest compliment I could ever get from Keem, because Keem is the type of person that is very stubborn and only kind of thinks in his own ways, and if I'm able to like insult him but then also get him to agree with something I say, that is kind of a miracle in a sense. But basically that was my first interaction with him. Kind of in general, he seems very volatile. It's either he will react, like he will see something that's like a relatively neutral statement and say, "You're fake, you're a liar," off that, or "This guy knows what he's talking about," type thing. It's either like extreme praise or most of the time extreme disapproval based off what somebody says. But basically, that was my first minor interaction with him. My first actual talk-to-talk interaction with him was back in February when we had to discuss whether Black Wolf Company's video on Pokemon was good or not based off his legal definitions of fair use, which ultimately we agreed on. It was funny because we ultimately agreed on the same thing when it came to fair use, but I was arguing that just because I disagreed with how Black Wolf Company portrayed fair use in that video, I thought the video was still good in despite of that, and KeemStar thought the whole video was trash because of that, and that was kind of our debate. It was pretty it was a lot of semantics, but he ended up kind of hating me for it and disliking me because I disagreed with him.
Well, that's something that happens pretty often from what I've seen. Like, if you disagree with him from what I've seen, is that you're immediately on his, let's just say, naughty list.
Yeah, he tends to just be a very extreme person in general, to where basically normally someone would be like, I don't really feel this guy, I don't like this guy, I kind of disagree with him, but whatever. But Keem would be like, oh, I hate this guy now, or something.
Like, it could change with the flip of a coin.
Yeah, it kind of goes extreme both ways. Keem never really sits on a middle ground when it comes to his opinion on people. I don't know if that's a front just to be like an extreme persona online, or if it's kind of his actual opinion. I'm more inclined to believe that he has this like amplifying persona where he definitely believes what he says, but he amplifies his reaction or emotion or whatever to it to put on sort of a character. And it's why sometimes when you talk to him in very rare case scenarios, he says like, oh, I'm talking now as Daniel Keem, and oh, I'm back to KeemStar. It's kind of like that extreme magnification of his own opinions. And that's just kind of the character he tends to play. And he tends to play it a lot more than he should, to the point where I actually feel like it does represent him as he actually is in some case scenarios, as with the recent scenario where he actually got mad over losing 3K subs. I think that's kind of where... Yeah,
like, he obsessed over it. I mean, I mentioned that in my video, the one we're going to be listening in right now, but, like, he kind of grows obsessed when he wants something, or he wants something to be said and or done. And it's, like, his split between Daniel Keem and KeemStar, to me, is very flimsy from what I've seen. I'm not saying your opinion is the same. Your opinion could be completely different, and I am willing to disagree or agree with you, because that's how normal conversations work.
Yeah.
But if I did that with Keem, I feel like I would either get the blunt end of the stick, or just a light whipping. Either way. But that's just from what I've seen.
the lines really blur, especially when people are trying to have actual like debates and discussions. It feels like that kind of persona kind of hinders real discussion. I don't know, at that point when he's actually trying to have actual discussion, I don't know how much of that over exaggeration is his persona versus his actual viewpoint and how he actually wants to express himself.
Yeah, that just reminds me.
Definitely blur at that point, and it definitely blurred for sure when he lost the 3K subs and got mad at Just Destiny to the point where he wanted to dox him. I don't know if he sees the internet in a way to where he can just like kind of get away with anything and be bombastic and crazy on the internet because it's the internet, and at the end of the day he can go back to his real life, or if that's actually his legitimate person in those case scenarios. But
the thing I see with that is that even if he finds like a split between the two, one is going to affect the other if you're not careful. And just this whole Just Destiny dox situation, one thing he doesn't understand, if someone decides to dox him back, that will cause so much trouble for his real life. It will basically mix together both worlds, causing trouble for each.
Yeah, that is definitely the problem with doxing in general, because everything else is just like, oh, it's just a troll, you know, it's the internet, turn off the computer. But stuff in particular like doxing, pedo allegations, etc.,
swatting,
and swatting can spill over into your real life, and that's where you really need to drop the persona, especially when you're discussing certain things like that. And KeemStar doesn't do that, and I kind of disagree on that philosophy, but I don't know. It really just depends how much of it is persona and how much of it is legitimate. I do kind of see it as like a magnifying glass, but at some points I feel like he needs to take that off even when he is on the internet. But I don't know. That's getting into speculatory territory,
and you don't want to have a problem with that.
I don't know Keem personally enough to determine where the line is with that.
I do have a quick question about your relationship with Keem. Not like an angry one, but like something that happened between you and Keem, and I never heard the end of it, like what happened. About him threatening to strike a lot of your videos. Like, whatever happened with that?
Oh, okay. So basically, initially I thought KeemStar was just trolling.
Alright, for those of you who are listening and don't understand what I'm saying, during a Augie stream, KeemStar came in and started basically railing you about you having like certain videos up on your channel that have to do with Drama Alert. And he started threatening to strike around 35 of your videos, I believe.
Yeah.
Even though that's something he was
an inaccurate number, but it's more like 15. But basically, back when I was a smaller channel and my main channel was my second channel, and I was just doing drama stuff on the side. I was primarily focused on gaming with my other channel. And pursuing that as just a hobby, since Stream.me VODs are kind of hard to get, especially now that the website's down. I'm so glad I recorded those KeemStar live streams. But basically, KeemStar would do these live streams on Stream.me, and the specific reason why I wanted to record them and re-upload them to my channel is because at the time he was getting attacked for the 2016 stuff. And a lot of people only knew him through Drama Alert and not through his Stream.me, and I felt his Stream.me really showed how everything that was being said during 2016 was fake, but just not a lot of people had eyes on it. So I thought it would be a good idea to record him reacting to some of the 2016 videos. I think I have one in particular of him reacting to Grade A Andre's video, and re-upload it to my channel to kind of show KeemStar's point of view, and then it gained a bit of traction. Since I happened to watch these Keem streams, I just decided in going forward that I would record these streams and re-upload them to my channel. Obviously, my channel kind of took off in the past few months and became my main
Congratulations,
channel.
by the way.
Thank you. It's still crazy to me after all this time that I actually have some relatives. But anyways, that's besides the point. But basically, since I gained relevance, obviously those streams being re-uploaded to my channel could become an issue since those are Keem's streams. So he asked me to take them down, I think about a year ago, and I initially did, but since I was a smaller channel, I thought, hey, well, he's never gonna pay attention to me again. I might as well just have them back up. He doesn't really have them uploaded anywhere else. It doesn't really matter, who cares.
Yeah, see, like, that's what was my thought about it. Like, he's not going to have them uploaded. why would they count as his content anymore if he wasn't going to keep them up at all?
Yeah, well, technically, he owns the rights to it. I mean, it's
That's
his
true.
content. But my mindset back then was that I'm such a small channel. This channel is just a side channel. I don't really care about it, and Keem probably doesn't care about it either. So I'm just gonna keep them up because it doesn't matter. Which, in retrospect, now that that channel is relevant, it was a bad move. And then KeemStar later found out, hey, I asked you to take these down, and you didn't actually take them down. Fuck you. Which is, it's a fair thing to say, even though I felt it was justified in my mindset. But anyways, I basically, when I found out he was actually mad, I decided to take them down. But he continues to still be mad about that and say he's going to copy strike me despite them being taken down. And it kind of became a bit of a troll at this point, which is the issue with Keem, is that it's hard to distinguish what he's saying as an actual troll and what's legitimate. Because to me, I thought even when he did want me to take them down later, that he was initially trolling, but then later I found out through somebody else that he was actually legitimately mad about it, so I did end up taking down those videos. But the thing is, with Keem, it's really hard to tell if he's trolling or not, because I know for a fact, for the copyright strikes in particular, he was trolling, because that would have been extremely hypocritical for him to do, considering he's spoken out against copyright strikes. And I think
And just after
on
the
a
Just
live
Destiny
stream, he did
situation.
end up admitting that that part was a troll, but then the part of him wanting me to take them down wasn't a troll. The threat was a troll, but the request wasn't. So it's just really hard to tell with him sometimes. But that was an honest mistake on my part, and I have corrected it. So yeah, that's kind of how the scenario, that's what happened.
Alright, well that's good to know, because I was actually genuinely curious about that. But I understand that you still have some respect for Keem, correct?
Yeah.
Alright, well that's good to know some people actually do. Like, me, myself, I've kind of lost respect for him entirely after the whole, like, doxing situation. Any little respect or integrity he had in my eyes was kind of lost. But for you, that's fine, you can keep your opinion about that. I'm not going to fight you over it, because, again, equalizing with stuff like that is fair and everyone has their own opinion. I do thank you for giving your thoughts about Mr. Daniel. And if you have anything else to say, would you like to say it now?
Not really. I guess, if you enjoyed my rambling, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and,
The link will be in the description.
yeah. So, yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this, because, I don't think I've ever talked about, Keem this much in depth, anywhere else, so it'll be definitely interesting to, show people when it's done. And good luck on your video.
And to the NCO, or more accurately now the NCP, I like you guys a lot. I love some of the people in there. Hell, I'd love to be a part of it. But you guys made the terrible mistake by letting Daniel in, because he's only caring about his channel's lost subs. And the leader group made a mistake. I get it. And brother, I hope you can learn from it. Only the people in the future that you are sure won't cause that problem. Daniel is a dangerous person to have in a group, because he will throw anyone away if he needs to cover his ass. I believe that this was a mistake, and it will take a bit to get away from it. But I believe you are strong enough and a man enough to get past it. Keep it as a learning experience. Daniel, I am tired of your attitude and how you will go to any lengths to get even with people. You make so many mistakes, I'm surprised you still have a channel. Hell, you shouldn't based on YouTube's guides. You had an intent to harass with the docs, and you should have been put in prison most likely. Hell, even Cobra doesn't agree with what you done. He was the one that Just Destiny put a strike on. Daniel, you said to Augie, Bowblax, Skull, and Oreo that you were afraid that no one's going to talk to you. And I'm not surprised. Most people realize how scummy and pathetic you are. Hell, even at my size of my channel, I know to avoid talking to people like you, because you're so pathetic and you will bitch and moan until you get what you want. You contradict yourself so many times, and I doubt most people can even keep up. And you act like this amazing person who helps so many people, and you only report the news, when most of the time it's just your opinion with a slivering of mediocrity of your own brain function. I believe I won't be able to do much, but I also wanted to get my opinion out there because I did talk during the Destiny situation. Now, I'm going to go over Daniel as a news source or as a journalist, and how he is not ethical in either of those. Just so you know, I got this information from the Society of Professional Journalists, or the SPJ, and the rules of ethics. And Daniel, you really strike out on some of the biggest points here. For the first main section, it says seek the truth and report it. And one of the subsections reads as follows: avoid undercover or other surreptitious methods of gathering information unless traditional open methods. will not yield information vital to the public. And you pulling in Zoom, a hacker known for doxing and swatting, looks pretty surreptitious to me. He also acts in the shadows, as an unopened method of getting your information. Another line they press is this: support the open and civil exchange of views, even views that you find repugnant. From what I've seen of you and many other people's words that I trust on the matter, and how I've heard from you in interviews, any disagreement with you ends up in a shouting match that won't end until you win, scream, or pussy out and leave. I don't think that would be a good thing for a news source, would you? The minimize harm section of the article pretty much just rips you a new one. Here's one example of the group. Balance the public's need for information against political harm or discomfort. Pursuit of the news is not a license for arrogance or undue intrusiveness. With your reporting on Destiny, let alone wanting to dox him and to release his information on Drama Alert, that would have caused damage or harm to him, let alone if he was guilty or not. You doxed him and try to take his info. That seems intrusive to me. And also, speaking of that, here's another bullet point. Realize that private people have a greater right to control information about themselves than public figures. Others who seek power, influence, or attention. Weigh the consequences of publishing or broadcasting personal information. And since you seek influence and attention, since you lost those 3,000 subs, I think that's a good checkmark for you. You were being ripped to shreds, and I haven't even gone through half of these rules that a journalist or news source should take. With that, you shouldn't be calling yourselves a news source. You should be calling yourself an information center with a little bit of bias. Okay, a lot of bias. Daniel, you dox your own character. You have almost lost all the small amount of credibility you still had. Your character is very much crude and destructive and will cause problems for you and your family and your credibility. Let alone you are a huge hypocrite, threatening to use your platform to fuck with people and then say you don't do it.
My objective isn't go destroy their life on Drama Alert. I don't use my platform that way. You know how they've been contacting me saying that you've been dating some like 14-year-old French girl and shit? Just please swing at me. If you're gonna swing at me, dude. Let me know, because I got a fucking files on top of files to swing back at.
Another terrible thing to do is have someone on your show that is smaller than you and they get a sub boost, and you calling that the KeemStar effect, and then holding it over their heads forever. If I had a smaller channel on my channel, and they grew from it, I wouldn't hold it over their heads. And you know why? Because I don't think they deserve that shit, and I'm a basic human being. And here's one thing. I will never go on Drama Alert. It's trash. It's disgusting. And I wouldn't want to deal with the childish gnome known as Daniel. It's not worth me talking to him when he's just going to scream, bitch, and moan. I think you should grow up a bit, Daniel. If not for yourself, then for your kid. Now, this is the end of my opinions on Daniel, and the trash he creates, and the destruction of his character he has done for years. Go check out my sources and the other channels who were featured here, and the videos in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and